Hi everybody and welcome to Wild Things. Well, the painted dog was once found throughout Africa, but due to human persecution, habitat loss and disease from domestic dogs, the population has dropped to under 5,000 in just over a century. They're listed as endangered by the World Conservation Union. Joining me today are two conservationists and wild men at heart, John Lemon, Vice Chairman of Painted Dog Conservation, and Robin Lyons, Project Director of the Wild Dog Project in Namibia. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Marnie.
Now, John, first tell us, what is a painted dog and why are they important?
Yeah, painted dog's arguably the most persecuted carnivore in Africa. It's a dog-like species that's been around for over 12 million years.
Wow.
Yeah, they're the most successful land predator in the world, so if they're in good numbers, that we know the rest of the ecosystem's in good numbers.
Right, so very important for controlling prey.
Yeah, it's a great way of taking the temperature of how an ecosystem's working. You know, if the dogs are in decline, we know there's other pressures around from either humans or, or other animal issues.
So it's a very, very important animal.
Very, very important animal.
Now, there's been a huge drop in population. We just saw a gorgeous picture of one of the dogs there. They've got huge, great big ears. They're a wonderful, exciting animal. When you see them on an African safari, people get, really rapt when they see them because it's unusual to see them. Unfortunately, the population's dropped quite a lot. Can you tell us why humans have contributed to this problem? Marnie, you can see here on the map where they used to be. Basically, is the green area, and dark green areas are where they're found now, which is a huge drop in population, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said, they're spread across most of southern Africa, but they're only, sort of small, viable habitats across a few countries these days.
Right. Now, what are the human contributions to that?
The human contributions, they're obviously persecuted by farmers because they see them as a threat to their livestock. They have the largest home range of any terrestrial mammal, so they often cross roads and get hit by motor vehicles. Also, with the farming practices, they decrease the prey base, so the dogs are affected by that as well.
Of course, yep.
And a lot of photographic safaris like to keep the larger, more impressive carnivores around, like the lions, and huge lion populations often keep the dog populations down.
Right.
In countries where you have socio-economic climate problems and political climate problems, people are turning to snaring. And though they're not after the dog as bushmeat, they're actually accidentally snared. And today I've got one of the snares here just to show you, and we call these the plague of Africa.
Wow.
A very, very cruel device of just fencing wire looped through to make a hangman's noose to garrote animals, and they're placed pretty much like this along an animal trail, and the dog, in this case, will come along chasing the prey and get their head caught in the snare or their leg, and it tightens up, and it's a very cruel, painful death, and they may linger for some days, or they may struggle and cut right through their trachea even.
It's just horrible.
It's just barbaric, and as I said, this is a plague of Africa. You've heard of snaring happening with the gorillas up in the area where Diane Fossey and stuff used to work, and we're seeing the same thing now with dogs. Obviously, the poachers are after bushmeat, which is mainly small antelope and larger antelope, but the dogs are accidentally snared.
Now, what is Painted Dog Conservation doing to help the dogs?
Okay, we're a non-profit company set up here in Perth in Western Australia, and we've got a membership base of about 200, so people can become members, and any of that money we actually send over to support one of our 3 projects that we run. And we've got Robin with us today, who runs the Namibian project we support, but we also have a project in Zambia and also one in Zimbabwe. And we do several different things. One, we run anti-poaching teams in 2 of those countries.
Fantastic.
We also do a lot of community development and also education and also research, and that's one of the factors of Robin's project that we're so excited about, the fact that we're gaining some of the data that we need to make some really good decisions to ensure that dogs do continue to exist in these areas.
Fantastic. Great. Now, Robin, what is the aim of the Wild Dog Project in Namibia?
Well, Namibia is quite a unique place. Nearly a third of the country is under some form of conservation management, and it's very low human population density. So potentially Namibia has a huge role to play as a repository for natural resources, but the capacity of Namibia is fairly low to manage these resources. So what the Wild Dog Project doing is focusing on one of the most high-profile endangered species that still exists in viable numbers in Namibia, and doing the research that's necessary to help the government make informed decisions about managing this very rare resource. And as John mentioned, it's very much an indicator species, a litmus test. It shows the health of ecosystems. So that's essentially our role is research and management.
Now, why are populations so low in Namibia?
Well, historically there were probably about 20,000 dogs, African wild dogs, in Namibia. With the introduction of farming methods, firearms were brought in, diseases were brought in from domestic dogs, and as agricultural spread, persecution of carnivores spread, and the wild dog has really suffered as a result of that. So you can really map the decline of the African wild dog in relation to the expansion of human populations and livestock farming.
Right, quite a huge issue that you're both dealing with, and we thank you for coming on today to share with us a little bit about the projects that you're both doing, which is fantastic.